My family, your fantasy football dad is back on this live stream today. We are going to be doing some best ball pre-draft NFL fantasy drafts on Draftkings, and we'll try to do one on Underdog as well. The Underdog big board, the $10 contest did fill up a couple of weeks prior to the draft, which is a big surprise. Just kind of goes to show that there are more addicts out there than we think. But that draft is done, and now they have a couple of small $3 and $2 best ball drafts on Underdog. But the big contests on DraftKings are still live. There's still some spots available, and the draft is obviously 6 days away, so not too much time left. We obviously have a lot of news going on regarding the draft and what's going to happen and which players are going where. A lot of smoke, a lot of noise. Obviously, if they want to throw teams off, on who they're going to pick. So a lot of information out there. Not all pretty much things that we can believe, but at the same time, we can kind of start getting an idea of where players might end up. Obviously, we know Mendoza is going to go down to Vegas and be the quarterback there. But a lot of unknowns after that. Obviously, with the Jeremiah Love, talks about him going to Tennessee, possibly the Giants, possibly Washington. So he's going to go somewhere in the top 10. Just don't know where. Obviously, right now, there's more than a handful of teams that would want to get him. And then we have the three wide receivers, the big three. Jordan Tyson, who had a workout today. Obviously, he got injured and wasn't able to do a lot of the pre-draft workouts at the combine and the pro days. So he did a private workout today for about 20 teams, they said. So I think looks like it went well for the teams, and there's obviously some injury risk with him, given his hamstring issues in the past. So, there's probably going to be some teams. There's talk about him probably being the best wide receiver available. But it just means for the teams, it just kind of has to be whether or not they're comfortable with the injury risk that comes along with Jordan Tyson. And then we have Carnell Tate and Mekhi Lemon. So 3 wide receivers, not sure where they're going to end up. We know there's wide receiver needy teams, but it's going to be interesting to see where they kind of go in the draft. And then after that, a lot of defensive players. So those guys don't really impact fantasy when it comes to best ball drafts. But obviously we have possibly 4 to maybe 5 wide receivers potentially can be going in the first round, so they obviously will be fantasy relevant. The number 4 and 5 are unknown. We're not sure who could go after them. There's also the second running back that's potentially going to be off the board, Jadarian Price, who might go in the first round or might go in the second round. Definitely not determined yet, and there's no mocks that kind of have him going in the first. The only one I've kind of seen is maybe Seattle picking him at the end of the second and the end of the first round, but not a guarantee as well. So not a lot of fantasy, I guess, after the three wide receivers, and obviously then we got a couple of tight ends as well. Kenyon Sadiq, Eli Stowers. I'm not sure if it looks like Kenyon Sadiq will probably go first round. I really like Baltimore probably taking a tight end, so I think him or Stowers will probably end up in Baltimore now that Likely is gone and Mark Andrews is pretty much on the back end of his career. So it looks like I think Baltimore will probably take a tight end this year, but not sure which one. So yeah, a lot of no guarantees right now in the draft. So that's why it makes the drafts right now that we're doing on best ball makes them interesting, because you just have no idea where any of these guys are going to end up, other than Mendoza. So quite interesting in how you fit them into your draft. So but with that, we are in the lobby. We were in the lobby, now we're in the draft room, and we got pick number 12, the end of the draft. And it is basically RB season. At the end of the draft, you have a choice of quite a few big names, obviously James Cook, GNT, HN, Walker, and then Barkley. So I think given the names that are available, I'm most likely going to be taking RBs when you get, especially in the last pick of the round. I really like the value you get with 2 running backs, so you can kind of take some big names and then kind of concentrate on the rest of your team until the later rounds to pick out a third running back. So but you never know. You never know what the draft's how it's gonna go. If obviously one of these big wide receivers at the end of the first round, Jefferson, CD, or Amon-Ra St. Brown drop, then we might have to take a look at taking one of them. But that is what it looks like it's going to be. And if you are watching this live after the fact on the videos, please like and subscribe. I definitely would really appreciate it, and definitely going to be drafting once the draft is over and we kind of know where everything's settled and some free agents end up on a team. Free agents like Debo, Juwan Jennings, Najee Harris, free agents that are still kicking around, that obviously will be going to teams once the draft is over, so as teams probably aren't able to address the needs that they have for those certain positions as running back and wide receiver. So you see those free agents kind of come off the board at that time. So we'll get started here. They get started with Bijan and Gibbs going 1-2. Not a big surprise. That's how it's kind of been kind of throughout the last few months. Once that Montgomery trade, what happened, Gibbs is kind of going number 2. And so if you got the, like there is a bit of a advantage as well getting first or second pick this year, because you kind of have your top 2 running backs. If somebody picks Gibbs, you kind of go with Bijan. And then you can always grab a wide receiver. Some of the tight ends like Brock Bowers is available. You could also go a second running back as well. You have a lot of options in the second and third, and a little turn here. Pick 24, 25 for first, and then 23 and 26 for the second pick. You can go a lot of different ways, and you still get some good quality names on the board. And AJ Brown is still there, and that is biggest. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that hasn't been really. Like, I know we've talked about AJ Brown kind of moving on and going to the Patriots. That's a consensus. That's what's Rossini has. No, I'm joking. But that's what the consensus is, that AJ Brown will be moved after a certain date. I think it's June 1st because of some contract obligations, or it just makes the cap hit a lot easier to swallow. Something like that. I'm not totally sure. But there is a date they have, and it's a future date, and it's not right now. Otherwise, that trade would have happened. And if AJ Brown moves up, Devonta Smith is still going in the 3rd round, right? 3rd round, late, early 4th. And once AJ Brown's gone, like, he's gonna probably move up quite a bit. So, yeah, that's something you really got to consider when you think about Devonta Smith. But like I was talking about, obviously we're up on the clock here. CeeDee Lamb does fall, so let's take CeeDee. Let's not overthink it too much. He did fall, and now I got a little bit of a dilemma as to which running back I want to take. I got Achane, I got Kenneth Walker, and I got Saquon Barkley. For this one, let's go with. Yeah, let's go with Barkley, and just because we're kind of talking about the Eagles, I love Achane, but this new offense, new quarterback, Malik Willis is a running quarterback, kind of scares me a bit. He can still put up big numbers, but I just kind of feel like Achane is going to be in a different offense this year, and I'm not sure how that's going to translate. He might do well, but I think there's not too much of a difference between him and Barkley and Kenneth Walker this year. Kenneth Walker obviously moved over to Kansas City Chiefs. Not much of a pass catcher, so in a PPR format like Draftkings, where you're drafting, you kind of want to be able to get a running back that kind of catches a lot of passes as well. So Kenneth Walker obviously will get a lot of opportunities around the goal line, and obviously part of the Kansas City offense. Looks like they went out and got him, so it looks like he will be featured. But I'm going with Barkley. I'm kind of hoping for a bounce back. I'm just taking a little bit of a risk and hoping for a bounce back season from Barkley this year. I think last year was we kind of a little bit of expected. We understood the workload that he had the year before, and kind of didn't really step up the expectations that we had for their second year with the Eagles. So I'm hoping this year is a little bit of a different scenario, and he kind of gets back to that that situation where obviously he's on the older end of the running back age of, I think, 30 now. So that's the scary part. But I think maybe with AJ Brown moving out, there's less mouths to feed. We don't think Dontavian Wicks or Marquise Brown are gonna really command the attention that AJ Brown, or the number of targets AJ Brown used to get. So I think that offense is going to funnel a little bit more over to Barkley and Devonta, and maybe a little bit over to Goddard. So I think there is a little bit of a potential with the Eagles if they can get back to where they were about 2 years ago when they won the Super Bowl. Then Barkley looks like a good pick. But like I was saying before, that if we know that AJ Brown is moving on to the New England Patriots, that should pretty much pump up Devonta Smith as much as possible. Because I feel like once that trade does happen, Devonta Smith is going to start going in early third, maybe late second as a pick. So if we already know that information, why not get him right now? Why wait for after the draft or when the trade happens? If it happens, like I guess there is a big if it happens, but like let's say it does happen, then I think Devonta Smith is one of the best picks to take in the third or fourth round right now, where he is an ADP. Just because of, like I said, for that sole reason as being able to get number one wide receiver. AJ Brown's gone, and we've seen the times where AJ Brown has been out, Devonta Smith has really stepped up. So I really think Devonta Smith is a good pick, and so I'm really hoping that it lands to me in the end of the third round, because we are drafting on the 12th, so we're going to get the first pick of the last pick of the third and first pick of the fourth. So hoping he comes back to us. So let's cue him up here. Yeah, it's kind of hard to kind of gauge on who could end up again. I do like taking a running back again, given obviously the biggest jump on running backs this year. There's been quite a bit of popularity of taking a running back early, at least two running backs early. So the good quality names really end up drying out after, I would say, the 10th round, after pick 100, and let's say after Tony Pollard. And even Tony Pollard's kind of risky because there's talk about Jeremiah Love coming there. So it's kind of hard after pick 100 to kind of get a good as a second running back. It's really risky. So I really like to take two running backs before that, two starters hopefully, just because you get at least two guys that can potentially be the major part of your RB points for the best ball time, and then hopefully get a diamond in the rough in the third as your third or fourth running back. So so I'm gonna probably look for Devonta Smith, and then maybe a Javonte Williams. He did step up quite a bit. Doesn't look like they're really bought in on Jaden Blue, so it looks like it might be the Javonte show again in Dallas. So I really like him as a pick. He kind of slowed down at the end of the year in Dallas, but as you can see, was very involved in the offense, and had some big games at the beginning of the year. So I do have CeeDee Lamb, so maybe I can kind of create a Dallas DJ Moore just went a Dallas stack. But I can't pass over ETN Jr. I really love ETN Jr. It's not Achane Jr. Travis Achane Jr. I love Kellen Moore. I love the New Orleans Saints offense. And I think they paid Travis Achane Jr. to be the starting running back. So definitely, think that he's going to be featured quite a bit. And I think he gets the opportunity to be part of an offense in the Saints that is up and coming. Tyler Shuck obviously had a great few games at the end of the last year, and we're hoping that kind of translates over. In some seasons it hasn't. We've seen quarterbacks have done really well at the end of the season, and then the next season they fucking suck. So at the same time, it's like, I think like a Sam Howell or quarterbacks like that we get too excited about, and the next season they really suck. But I'm hoping, I believe in Kellen Moore as a coach. I've talked about that before. I love the Saints. It looks like their strength of schedule, which obviously changes as free agency happens, but the strength of schedule looks like they might be one of the easiest schedules. So we saw what happened with Drake May and the Patriots the year before. Last year they had the easiest strength of schedule, and we saw Drake May put up some crazy numbers, and obviously they rolled that all the way to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying the Saints are going to the Super Bowl, but I think the strength of schedule does help during the regular season, and that's all we care about. We don't care about what happens in the playoffs. We just care about the regular season of the first 17 weeks for best ball purposes. So if they have an easy schedule, we're hoping they put up a good amount of points. And it looks like the offense will get a little bit better. We got Travis Achane Jr. Looks like Chris Olave was healthy, is able to come back. And it looks like, from what I've seen some mock drafts, that Saints will take a second wide receiver, which they should. So, it could be Mekhi Lemon, it could be Carnell Tate, it could be, Jordan Tyson, depending on who it is. I think that would really help the offense and more the passing game. So it kind of opens up some more lanes for HN Jr. So, definitely feel fortunate to be able to kind of land him this late at the end of the third round. So let's see if there's any surprises as to how we ended up. I got him so late. I took CeeDee Lamb, then took Saquon, then Chase Brown went a little bit earlier than normal, and then Kenneth Walker, Love, Hampton, Rice, McBride, London, Henry, Pickens, Neighbors, Bowers, Olave, Nico Collins. So Josh Jacobs kind of falls a little bit into the middle of the third round, along with AJ Brown. T. Higgins goes, Kyron, Brees. DJ Moore goes a little bit earlier, I think, than normal in the end of third. Tet McMillan, and I took HN Jr. and Devonta Smith. And then we have Colson Loveland, and a wave of wide receivers: Zay Flowers, Garrett Wilson, and Terry McLaurin, Egbuka, Waddle, and then Javonte Irving, Bucky Irving goes. Not a lot of surprises I'm seeing here, but let's see what we have available to us. So Lamar Jackson is still on the board. I don't have anybody for the stack purposes, but it's still Lamar. You really don't need to worry about that because the potential for him to be able to run and gain a lot of points off his rushing is pretty important. But I can't pass up the value on Lamar Jackson. So let's take Lamar Jackson here, and let's take looks like wide receiver is kind of barren. Like I wouldn't mind, but let's take Christian Watson here as my third wide receiver. So I possibly could have gone to Jalen Hurts, but I do have the Philly. But I just like Lamar. I feel like there's a bounce back season coming up, so I'm really appreciating the value I'm getting here at the end of the draft here. Lamar Jackson falls, and you can't have Caleb Williams going over. You know what? I guess Caleb Williams had a good year, but still at the end, it's Lamar Jackson. We all know what he can do. And then at the end of fifth round, that's too much value to pass up. So we'll make some stacks, figure out at the end. Don't worry about that. But Lamar Jackson, I'm going to take him. Obviously, if he falls to the end of the fifth, I got to take him there. It'd be a sin not to. Then I took Christian Watson. So the wide receivers are going pretty fast, so I had to take Christian Watson. I didn't want to miss out on him. I feel like there's a lot of target consolidation there in Green Bay. They got rid of Wicks, so I guess I can't really say that Wicks is, but target hog. He was kind of barely a fourth wide receiver there, but Romeo Doubs is gone, so now we have Christian Watson. We have Matthew Golden. We don't know what he is yet. Obviously has the speed, but didn't really put up a great rookie season, so we're not sure if he can actually command targets yet. Then we have Jaden Reed, who's normally just the slot wide receiver that plays in 3 wide receiver sets. So Christian Watson looks like he's going to have a 100% snap share, I believe, this year if he can stay healthy. Then we have Tucker Kraft. We're not sure if he's able to come back healthy as of yet. So a lot of unknowns, but we know Christian Watson looked good as he came back from his ACL injury. So and has some great rapport with Jordan Love. So I definitely like Christian Watson as somebody that if he was able to put a 17 or 18 game season, could definitely smash. But yeah, the health is always a concern with Christian Watson, given his issues in the past. So definitely like that there. And if you are, if you're able to join in anytime, please feel free to listen. Join in on the drafts. Also, at the same time, if you are watching this after the fact, please like and subscribe. Also, leave a comment. Let me know how you thought of the draft. If there's anything I can do, anything I can change, or any picks that you would have made from what I made. Please leave a comment, and I can definitely address that on the page. So after Jackson, we have Christian Watson, then we had Jaden Daniels go, Jackson Dart. No big surprises, I don't think, here in the draft so far. Brian Thomas Jr., pretty standard. I'm looking like he's going the 7th round. What a fall from grace for Brian Thomas Jr. And that guy was going 11th or 12th last year. And obviously, fair enough. Like, we obviously thought that with Trevor Lawrence and Liam Cohen, and we thought that Brian Thomas, who was really pumped up in the beginning of the season, is going to have a great year. But unfortunately did not come to fruition. So definitely somebody that has fallen quite a bit. And the risk of the second-year players that come off a really good rookie season. So the aforementioned Jordan Tyson is available here. Just, kind of scary for me for a little bit, just because of not knowing about his landing spot, but at the same time, his injury risk. I feel like hamstrings for a wide receiver are pretty risky, given the nature of their movements and given this, the speed element, having the sprints. So he does scare me quite a bit, but he goes, so you don't have to worry about that. Dak Prescott is still available, so if I want to make that CeeDee Lamb stack, that's available, but Jalen Hurts is also available, so quite a bit of value here for the quarterback somehow. But I think I need to target another wide receiver just to be sure. And I like Wan'Dale here. And Harold Fannin I also like as a tight end. We saw what he could do, albeit not a great offense, but even with the quarterbacks, he was the focal point of the offense. So let's take Harold Fannin Jr. I'm just hoping that he is going to be the focal point of that Cleveland Browns offense, which is not going to be great, but at the same time, now I gotta take. There's still some good value, and I'm hoping Lamar bounces back. But let's take Wan'Dale Robinson as my 4th wide receiver. I can't just pass up on the value of a wide receiver, even though I would love to get Hurts or Prescott. But whoever's gonna get him is gonna get great value anyway. So, but being able to get a wide receiver, a quarterback when I have Lamar, I can only start one, obviously. So having 2 quarterbacks this early in the draft, there's some good names still out there in terms of wide receivers and running backs. I got it, even though it looks good, and there's obviously, like I said, they're falling in ADP and good ADP value. I can't just take it right now, so I have to let them pass, unfortunately. Even though they do make my stack, but Lamar, like I said, at the end of 5th was too good to pass up. So with that, we have our current team that has 1 quarterback, who is Lamar Jackson. Our 2 running backs right now are Saquon Barkley and Travis. I almost said it. Etienne Jr. or Etienne Jr. for you, for anyone that known him in the past. And then we got CeeDee Lamb, Devonta Smith, Christian Watson and Wan'Dale Robinson as our 4 wide receivers. Does Wan'Dale Robinson really excite me? No, he does not. But he was a marquee free agent signing for the Tennessee Titans. Looks like their offense will be, a little bit better now. They got some new coaching in there, and they got Brian Daboll to run the offense. Brian Daboll's familiar with Wan'Dale Robinson, obviously their time with the Giants, and they obviously went out there and signed Wan'Dale. Looks like he'll be playing in the slot, and the benefit of Wan'Dale is in a PPR format like DraftKings, he can catch a lot of balls. So, even though they don't have to be touchdowns, but you can see just off sheer volume, 25 points, one game here, 11 catches for 113. And so you get a steady like here, 6 for 12 or 6 for 95. That's still 15 points, which is good, obviously, as your 4th wide receiver. So I definitely like the potential of Wan'Dale Robinson in an up-and-coming offense, hopefully with Cam Ward. But I obviously think that he's going to be the focal point of that offense as a wide receiver, because we obviously know Ridley is not going to do much. Given his age now and his injury history, and then they still have a lot of unknown wide receivers. be interesting to see if they take another one. But right now, I think Wan'Dale Robinson is the grown up in the room. So yeah, excited to have him there. And then Harold Fannin, we saw that he was kind of the focal point of that Cleveland Browns offense. They obviously have a new coach in Monken who, has shown that he prefers to pass to his tight ends. And obviously we know the Browns offense is not great, but it's we're just looking for sheer volume. So it's not like he's getting like a lot of, passes deep. It's really just short passes to the tight end. And now with David Njoku's gone, so that's one less where we had with the tight ends on the Browns. So I think Harold Fannin will step in, and like we saw here, even though if we look at like Shedeur sucks or Deshaun Watson sucks, yeah, but like this is I think Shedeur playing at this stage of the season, and he did 12, 28, 12, 19, 11. Like for a tight end, that's pretty good. It's not elite like McBride or Bowers, but at the same time, we just got to get enough of a decent point total from our tight ends to be able to be competitive. So in the draft capital, it was kind of late, so he went way past a little bit past ADP. I think Fannin's been going early 7th round, so I was able to definitely take the value there. And we are back. Let's see if there's any other value that we're getting. So Tyler Algier, that Arizona offense is pretty scary. Nothing to be excited about. Okay, let's just take Algier. It was between him or Manungai or Gainwell, and I like. It's a little bit different because I think the problem with is I'm really worried about their offense, but the Arizona Cardinals offense. But like I said, the value is too easy to pass. It's too hard to pass up. And let's take Michael Pittman here. So kind of go back and circle back on what I was. So I was looking at either Gainwell and then Manungai. They're all like, I guess, 2 running back teams. If we think Arizona is gonna get James Conner still there, so there's chance that Algier might split some carries with him. Gainwell, obviously for PPR formats, would have been probably a better pick, I guess. Looking back at it, but if Algier, for example, does take over that backfield in Arizona, they did sign him, so I'm assuming that he probably signed knowing that he might get more of the carries. So even if it's a 70-30 or 60, or I'd say a 70-30 split between him and Connor, it's not bad. We've seen Algier in his first year, the rookie year, be in a lead role, and he did pretty well. So if he gets the carries, he can catch some passes from the backfield. So I'm hoping that kind of pays off. But in hindsight, I wouldn't have minded Kenneth Gainwell as well. Like I probably would have. I think I have a lot of Kenneth Gainwell in DK draft, so I'm kind of splitting it up. I was able to kind of get out. Let's get some Algier in there. I don't have much exposure to him, so let's do something different and get Tyler Algier. If you have any comments or if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in chat. And let's take a quick look at our team here. We got a couple of picks in between our picks, so we're good. We have CeeDee Lamb, Saquon. The Michael Pittman pick, I guess I haven't talked about that. I do like him moving to an offense. Obviously, Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be totally different this year. They have an offensive coach. It's no more Mike Tomlin running the ball and doing all that stuff. I think Mike McCarthy, given I know his past history hasn't been the greatest, but he is an offensive-minded coach. We've seen the stuff he does in Dallas and in Green Bay in the past. He is a pretty fantasy-friendly coach. So we've seen even like CeeDee Lamb. I remember Brandon Cooks, who was the wide receiver 2 on that team, did pretty well that season. And then Rico Dowdle was their running back. He's kind of like brought back Dowdle, and we have Pittman. I think Pittman is going to do well. I feel like he is a better wide receiver than DK Metcalf in in regards to playing with Aaron Rodgers, I do feel like Aaron Rodgers will come back because I think Aaron Rodgers has the incentive now to see that there is an offensive coach and someone that he's familiar with. So I think that familiarity will bring him back. So, but I think Michael Pittman is a better wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers. I feel like he's able to kind of, he's not so like a one-trick pony like DK Metcalf, who's, I think Michael Pittman can kind of work in the short area of the field, and it doesn't look like Aaron Rodgers is going to be, hitting the long bombs anymore. But I think the short passes, those kind of things will benefit Michael Pittman a lot more than DK Metcalf. We saw a season with DK Metcalf with Aaron Rodgers. It wasn't the greatest. Obviously, it's a new offense, but at the same time, I think Michael Pittman is built better for Aaron Rodgers. So I do like Michael Pittman. I think he's been kind of slept on. Like I was saying before, it's obviously a new offense, so that's also something we have to consider. So Zach Charbonnet kind of scares me in regards to being is he going to come back or not. I like Isaiah Likely, so that's probably somebody I'll look at as my second tight end. And then I got 5 wide receivers, so let's take it's either Jalen McMillan or let's take Krosky Merritt. So I was really in between taking a wide receiver and running back there. And my whole thing is I don't think Washington is going to take a running back. I don't think they're going to take Jeremiah Love. I feel like they will take a defensive player. I know Dan Quinn, it's not the cliche of him being a defensive coach. They're going to take a defensive player, but I really think their defense does need help, especially in that division. If you want to keep up with the Cowboys, if you want to keep up with the Eagles, you got to have a good defense. It's hard to kind of go, and their offense is, other than McLaurin, they don't have many things. So, Jeremiah Love, I guess, would make sense with Jaden Daniels, but I feel like Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt wasn't too bad given the circumstances of not having Jaden Daniels all last year. I think if Jaden Daniels is healthy and is able to play the full season, I don't think Krosky-Merritt is a bad pick. If for any reason they don't take Jeremiah Love and Krosky-Merritt's back, I know they signed Rachaad White to play the passing down role, but I think Krosky-Merritt could benefit from Jaden Daniels, being healthy all season. Obviously, a running quarterback really helps the running back because it just opens up more lanes because the defense is more, focused on the quarterback running. They sometimes leave a lot of gaps available for the running back. So I really think that Krosky-Merritt, and my whole bet here is that the Krosky-Merritt is the starting running back for the Commanders come week 1. So I kind of like that bet, and I'm hoping that I'm able to kind of get some value out of that one. But if they take Jeremiah Love, then obviously this pick is going to be pretty shitty. But if they don't, like I said, if Krosky-Merritt comes back and Rachaad White's in the passing down role, I really like his role especially next to Jaden Daniels. So I think this round, my next pick, I will take a second quarterback. So let's see who we have available to us. It's not going to be great. Not too great here. We have Daniel Jones, Bryce Young, Cam Ward, and Jacoby Brissett. And obviously we have Mendoza and Geno Smith. So Daniel Jones is gone. So yeah, we're really hurting. So I got to probably take a second quarterback here. I do have Lamar, so I'm hoping Lamar is able to stay healthy. Fingers crossed this year. If he stays healthy, then we obviously have quite a bit, stability at quarterback. But if he's not for any reason, we do need somebody to kind of cover up. And I like Cam Ward, so I'm hoping he kind of lands to me. I already have Wan'Dale Robinson, so I'm hoping that Cam Ward can kind of create that natural stack. So I will be taking Cam Ward here. I'm just putting my picks out there. If anyone's listening or watching, I guess they can jumps on this drawers in this draft, they obviously know what I'm doing. But no, I definitely like Cam Ward. So I'll probably go with him. Mark Andrews is still available to me. I did take a second tight end, so I don't think I'm going to be taking him. I do like Juwan Jennings. Obviously a big unknown as to where he's going to end up, but I think he's going to be one of those players that are probably going to end up in a good situation, hopefully. And I think we've seen the last couple of years being the lead, kind of like the lead wide receiver for the 49ers, did pretty well. So I really believe that Juwan Jennings still has something in the tank. Weird dude though. I've heard the stories that come up about the way he talks shit to other players, or talks smack to other players, and goes pretty deep and starts saying some fucked up shit. Yeah, so I don't know if maybe he's a great teammate, but you hate to play against him. Maybe he's one of those guys, but yeah, definitely believe in Juwan Jennings. So Cam Ward gets taken. I get sniped on Cam Ward. Yeah, so I'm really hurting for a second quarterback. So, so I'll have to wait. I might as well just wait then for Tua and Shedeur and see what happens. But let's take Juwan Jennings here. And let's take Emmanuel Wilson as our... Click that. Let's take that Emmanuel Wilson here. And so the reason I'm taking Emmanuel Wilson, I really think he'll have a role to begin with for the Seahawks as he starts off the season. We saw him play a couple of games last year without Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs was injured, and so Emmanuel Wilson stepped in. I read a Sports Illustrated article saying that he did have pretty good efficiency in PFF grades, and they think that Emmanuel Wilson could be one of the undervalued signings of this year, and saying that he might be ready for a starting role. So Seattle didn't go back and try to get Kenneth Walker. They didn't go for Travis Etienne Jr. So even a Chris Rodriguez. They didn't really go for anybody like that. They went out and got Emmanuel Wilson. So there's something there. I think they believe in him, or I think they value the contribution that he might be able to make to the team, given that Zach Charbonnet might not be coming back until the middle of the year. So I really like Emmanuel Wilson, and he's a pass catcher as well. He can run. I think those 2 games he started right here. Where did he stay? Yeah, so the 28 carries, 107 yards, like 3.8 yards per carry, not too great. But they put up 2 touchdowns. I was gonna say he's a pass catcher, but he's not much of a pass catcher. But we've kind of seen that when he gets kind of a lead role, obviously with a team like Seattle that we know wants to run the ball, until Zach Charbonnet comes back. I think if we get some good weeks out of Emmanuel Wilson, I'll definitely take those. So my biggest worry for this team right now is quarterback. I definitely got sniped on quite a few. Waited too long, so I'll probably have to stick with a Tua and maybe an Aaron Rodgers. So that's fine. We'll just have to maybe take Tua on their next pick here. Just want to see which teams have 3 quarterbacks. So pretty much all the teams have 3 quarterbacks. This one guy in front of me doesn't. He only has 1. So I really have to hope he doesn't take Tua here. So just taking a look at the teams that have 2 quarterbacks. They have Drake May and Bo Nix. That guy might stick with 2. Justin Herbert and Cam Ward. He might go for a 3rd, and HGH only has 1. He has Caleb Williams, so I might be in a battle with him for Tua. Who thought they would say that on a live stream? Really sweating for Tua Tagovailoa. That's this channel's not going to do well if that's the statements you're making during drafts, but. So let's say I do end up with Tua. Let's look at which potential wide receivers I could get. So there's Debo. I don't mind Debo. So there's a sneaky, like a rumor out there that Debo might end up on the Ravens. It's not a bad fit, I don't think. I think he does stuff well that kind of jives with Lamar. Just get the ball in his hands, so it doesn't have to be like crazy, like really good throws. Just like even short short passes to Debo and just kind of wait for those yak that he can potentially get yards after catch. So I definitely think that Debo is kind of sneaky to the Ravens. Like I said, I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not. It looks like the Ravens might draft a wide receiver this year, but I don't think like with only Zay Flowers, you got Rashad Bateman and I think DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know if he's re-signed or not, but looks like they always prefer to get one veteran core wide receiver that can, on the last legs of their career. And I think that Debo would be a good fit in Baltimore. Like I said, a lot of yak. He's able to kind of catch those passes, and we showed that last year he was still pretty good when Jaden Daniels was healthy. He had a really strong start to the season, as you can see here. So I think if he was able to end up in Baltimore, I think Debo is going to jump up these drafts pretty aggressively. So I'm going to hope that I can kind of land on that. So Calvin really goes. So the Tua lives. Let's take Debo here, and then let's take Tua. Not very excited about that pick, but like Tua here, I could have gone Aaron Rodgers, but I'm hoping I can get Aaron Rodgers on my way back. So I'm kind of hoping kind of falls in line with ADP. But if not, then maybe I'll go with Michael Penix Jr. And that way I kind of know I'm gonna get one of the quarterbacks for the Atlanta Falcons. Because there's obviously unknowns with Tua, but I really like Tua to be like Daniel Jones last year. Everyone kind of written him off, and ended up on a team with some pieces and some new coaching, and we saw Daniel Jones blow up. So really, Tua is I feel like Daniel Jones of last year. He's got some playmakers on the team. We obviously know Bijan, Drake, Pitts, and has a good coach in Stefanski, an offensive coach. So I really think that Tua could be this year's Daniel Jones, and I think he's being slept on quite a bit. So I really like Tua. And like I said, if he does not get the starting nod and it's Michael Penix, maybe if I take Michael Penix, that makes sense. I can kind of grab the Atlanta Falcon quarterback that's going to play. And I think like in Stefanski's offense, I think it's still some value given the playmakers they do have on the team. You just got to get the ball in their hands and they'll do the rest. So, so I'll probably take Rodgers or Penix in my next pick, but it's kind of interesting to see who I should take next. I have a current build of 2-5-7-2. My two quarterbacks are Lamar Jackson and Tua Tagovailoa. My running back room consists of Saquon Barkley, Travis Etienne Jr., Tyler Algier, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, and Emmanuel Wilson. And then my wide receivers are CeeDee Lamb, Devonta Smith, Christian Watson, Wan'Dale Robinson, Michael Pittman Jr., Juwan Jennings, and Deebo Samuel. So I obviously have two wide receivers. I don't know which team they're going to end up on. Hopefully it's someone good, but at the same time, a couple of unknowns there with those wide receivers. So our pick on ADP will be coming around here, and we're going to be pick at 204, 205. So let's see who's available around there. Got Jordan James from the 49ers as one of our running backs. We got Torrey Horton, who had a great start to the year, then unfortunately got injured. Was a rookie last year, had a great year start, but then got injured. So a little bit of unknown with him. I like Malik Washington as well. I think there's good value for him. As obviously, I think Miami will take a wide receiver this year. So, but he plays in the slot, and we're hoping that maybe Malik Wilson will like that, or Malik Williams. Is that no? It's Malik Williams, right? Malik Willis would like short passes as a running quarterback. So Malik Washington had a little bit more of a role last year. Not too great, but like I said, in a PPR format, we just want receptions. that makes a big difference. And we're picking this late in the draft, so definitely not somebody that we really need to as our wide receiver number 8. Just hoping to get some useful weeks out of them at especially this stage, not counting on more than maybe 1 or 2 useful weeks. So looks like I might be able to land my quarterback. I think HGH has got to make a move. He can't just run off with Caleb Williams as his own quarterback, so he's probably going to take one here. I'll definitely take Aaron Rodgers because I have Michael Pittman. So I'll leave the Michael Penix. And at least I have 3 quarterbacks. I'm hoping Aaron Rodgers is able to start. So he takes Shedeur Sanders. So I'll take Aaron Rodgers there. In my next pick, I do need let's take a tight end, and I like let's take the stack of Freiermuth and Rodgers. So nothing too exciting here. Taking Aaron Rodgers with Pat Freiermuth. So like I was saying, I'm kind of betting on Mike McCarthy to kind of turn some things around and make it a little more of a better offensive team, more fantasy-friendly team. And I think that Freiermuth, is being slept on. Jonnu Smith is gone, so the Steelers did release him this past offseason. So he obviously has Darnell Washington is still there, but Darnell Washington, obviously, a behemoth of a man. Obviously, I think he's better suited for blocking. So I think that they probably will play some 2 tight end sets. But you look like Freiermuth will probably be the more the pass catching tight end. And I think in a Mike McCarthy offense, that'll be good for Aaron Rodgers. Doesn't have to worry about Jonnu Smith taking away some touches or taking away some snaps. I already have Michael Pittman Jr., so taking a little bit more of a stance on the Pittsburgh Steelers as I normally would. I normally kind of avoid Pittsburgh Steelers, but I think the change in offensive mindset with the coach will be pretty important this year. So let's take a quick rundown of our team. We have a current team of 3 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 7 wide receivers, and 3 tight ends. Our quarterbacks are Lamar Jackson, Tua Tagovailoa, and Aaron Rodgers. So a lot of risk. Just hoping that Lamar stays healthy. That's maybe our only chance for this team. Our wide receivers are CeeDee Lamb, Devonta Smith, Christian Watson, Wan'Dale Robinson, Michael Pittman Jr., Juwan Jennings, and Deebo Samuel. And my running backs are Saquon Barkley, Travis Etienne Jr., Tyler Algier, Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt, Emmanuel Wilson, and we have 5 running backs. So probably grab a wide running back here. So Justice Hill goes. That was probably my sneaky running back I wanted to kind of get as a pass-catching running back. Looks like for the Ravens, it doesn't seem like his role is going to change. Obviously, Keaton Mitchell is out of there, so it looks like it was Justice Hill's pass-catching role with Derrick Henry would have been good, but he gets taken. So we'll have to reset and look for somebody else here. So let's see what the running backs that we do have available. Trey Benson might be interesting if I can kind of maybe consolidate the Arizona backfield in the sense that if we think James Conner, for example, gets cut, or maybe he's not healthy or gets injured. He is pretty injury prone, so maybe that I have both Cardinals quarter running backs, and that kind of helps there. Sean Tucker as well. The same can be said with George Holani, but like I said, George Holani's role is not that great to begin with. So what did Travis Etienne do last year? Not much. And then they got Jonathan Brooks coming back, and they have Chuba Hubbard, so I'm not sure how well he's going to do. But another sneaky running back I do like, especially in PPR formats, is Amari DiMercado. Looks like he was signed for the purpose of being the pass-catching running back for the Chiefs. We obviously know that role is pretty valuable in that Chiefs offense, and it looks like Aaron Bieniemy is back as the offensive coordinator, and he loves to run the ball. So I definitely like Amari DiMercado in the PPR format, be able to catch some passes, so I think that he's somebody I could definitely look at as my 6th running back. just want to take a look at see if there's any wide receivers that I think are valuable as my 8th. Like, does it really make sense to take a wide receiver, or is it just better to maybe take 2 running backs and call it a day? Ryan Flournoy is available. Yeah, I'll probably take Flournoy just because if Lamb was to go down, then Flournoy is able to kind of step in as a wide receiver. So I was kind of hedging my bet on CeeDee Lamb. And now it's the debate on who to take as my running back. And let's take Mari DeMarcado as our 6th running back. Like I was saying, I feel like he does have a role as a pass catching running back on the Chiefs. I was leaning towards Trey Benson, but I'm just like, I guess my bet would have been if James Conner gets cut for any reason. I think he only got re-upped for 1 year, but I don't know why they would need 3 running backs like that. I feel like one of them is going to be gone, either whether it be Benson or Connor. I feel like one of those 2 guys will not be on the Cardinals come opening day. So, yeah, interesting to see whether or not which one of them makes it. But I'm just going to, I kind of avoided that altogether and just went with Mari DeMarcado for the purpose of being able to talk to him on this live. I do it for you guys. I do it so you guys have another person you guys can look at. But DeMarcado was signed by the Chiefs. They have Rashad Smith, but if they really believed in him, I don't think they would have gone out and signed DeMarcado. So I'm not sure if they really believe in him or his ability to pass block or play the 2-minute drill. So I think DeMarcado was signed for that reason, and I really like him as a PPR running back, given the pass catching ability. So put him as my 3rd running back. 6th running back. So our team is done. We have Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley, Etienne Jr., CeeDee Lamb, Devonta Smith, Christian Watson, Harold Fannin Jr., Wan'Dale Robinson, Tyler Algier, Michael Pittman, Isaiah Likely, Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt, Juwan Jennings, Emmanuel Wilson, Deebo Samuel, Tua Tagovailoa, Pat Freiermuth, Aaron Rodgers, Ryan Flournoy, and Amari DeMarcado. Flournoy, like I said, is able to step in if, for example, CeeDee Lamb goes down. We saw a big game out of him on week 14, but I definitely just like to have him around as my 8th wide receiver in case that there's an injury or Pickens is gone for some reason or he gets traded. You never know, and then Flournoy really steps into that wide receiver 2 role. So liking the team so far. There's some drops in value. Like I said, Lamar fell to me in the end of 5th. I had to kind of take him there. But then Jalen Hurts and Dak were still available at the end of the 6th round. So, or the end of the 7th. I think they went that late. So a lot of value in the quarterbacks in those Hurts and Prescott, as you can see here. Prescott and Hurts go in the 8th round, which is pretty big value. So a lot of these guys here, I think, got some great values on the quarterback here, for sure. And then Harold Fannin also fell to me as well. Tyler Algier also fell, so I took him over Kenneth Gainwell. Kenneth Gainwell almost came around again, but Kenneth Gainwell does go in the 11th round. I think the value of Tyler Algier, like I said, I do believe one of the quarter running backs will be a 2-man room when it comes to the start of the season. I feel like they can't have 3 running backs. Doesn't make sense on that team. So I think either Connor or Trey Benson will be gone. And I think Tyler Algier will probably get more of the Lions' share of the carries. More of a 70-30 split, I would say, for the Cardinals. But so that's the team. I really hope you liked this draft. I will come back and maybe do an underdog draft soon, either today or tomorrow. As I said, there's only 6 days left till the draft happens, so these pre-best ball drafts will be all done. And we're going to be drafting all the way up until Thursday, the cutoff time for sure. And if you haven't gotten in, get in right now. It's a lot of fun. it kind of prepares you for the drafts that will be happening after the draft, which is kind of for the regular season. It kind of helps you with the ADP, kind of teaches you how to navigate on where to pick players, or kind of understand where running backs are going and wide receivers and when to get your quarterbacks. So I think it's really good practice to kind of get in some drafts right now, and then get ready for your the big boy drafts when they start right after the draft for the 2026-27 regular season. But with that, your dad has to go now. Hope you learned some Inside My Children. I hope you learned some lessons, and we'll definitely be back. If you can, please like and subscribe. Please leave a comment, and definitely engage. If you can, I'll definitely reply and be able to kind of but if you also want something, you don't like something, please let me know. I definitely like the feedback I can on my channel. All right, take care. Have a great night.